We spoke with Wayne Sperling recently. You'll hear more of his argument in just a moment. He and his common-law wife have had 7 children since 2002. This is now their second child abuse case. The first resulted in them losing custody over 3 of their children. It's why we recently traveled down to southeastern Colorado to get a better idea on how 2 of those children are doing. On land where it's never difficult to see someone coming from a mile away, security is self-evident.
Kids can be outside and you don't have to worry what they're doing or who they're with.
Jeff and Megan love life here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Not because of what it doesn't have, but because of what it does.
We always say clap.
They love being outside. They love everything about being in the country.
There's no need for last names here, no need to show faces. Let's just say sister, now 7, and brother, now 9, are years beyond the past from which they came.
Very few words, a lot of gestures, grunts. He'd grab us to take us where he wanted.
Megan and Jeff say the first year after the adoption was brutal. Not only were they nonverbal, they were also largely unaware of any household norms.
If they saw food, they had to eat it. They hoarded it. They couldn't say no. We kind of had to help them stop eating so they wouldn't get sick, because they just never had enough.
Enough. It is what police said following a 2006 police report, which detailed their old home. Horrid. Trash everywhere. Their oldest sister said very few words and would only grunt and point at things.
If you have nothing to model after, you're not going to learn to talk.
In 2009, Lorinda Bailey and Wayne Sperling lost custody of all 3, 2 of whom ended up here near Lamar.
It just warms your heart when you see the changes that they've gone through and, the people that they're becoming, and we're really proud of them.
If only someone could have seen this coming from a mile away.
Denver police say a couple's 4 children don't speak. They grunt, and they were living in filth.
Police tell us that the children were non-verbal and they had not been toilet trained.
September 2013, same house, same parents.
35-year-old Lorinda Bailey and 66-year-old Wayne Sperling. Court records tell us this is not their first encounter with both the law and protective services. They're accused of keeping their 4 children in an apartment filled with feces and flies.
Same story as the one that got Megan and Jeff involved so many years ago.
I started tears just running down my face because oh my gosh, this is exactly the same thing. It's the same thing, and it's the same people. It's not a similar family. It's the same people. Did this 2 times.
If I start talking, I'll probably start crying.
Wayne Sperling is well aware of what police are saying this time around, that he and his common-law wife, Lorinda Bailey, went on to have 4 more children, only to leave them in a house where the smell was unbearable, where the children were making infant-like noises and were nonverbal and malnourished. Could those kids speak?
Yes, they can speak. And they know it.
Sperling insists the case is a lie, a setup by a system that always wanted to see him fail.
You just can't fight the cities. And that's where they got their mind made up. In fact, they've had it made up for a long time, but they couldn't touch me until I had kids.
I want people to really start focusing on how can we do better by all these kids that aren't being taken care of like they should be.
Megan and Jeff believe the idea that this could have happened again is proof that something is not right within a system designed to protect children.
If you are deemed unfit to parent children, and your children are removed after due process to be adopted by some other people, if you have more children, how are you going to suddenly know how to parent them without an awful lot of support and help?
They also consider these 2 proof of this. The farther and further they get away from their old home, the easier it is to see something else is self-evident as well.
No matter what happens now, they've succeeded.
Chris Vanderveen, 9 News. For weeks now, we've been looking into the case against Wayne Sperling and Lorinda Bailey, specifically asking questions as to how the couple could have been allowed to keep children even after a 2006 child abuse case that resulted in them losing custody over 3 of their children. We told a representative from Denver Human Services that we had interviewed a former employee of theirs. They sent us back a letter warning us not to reveal any confidential information. We believe the following story does not violate their request in any way.
This morning, Denver police say her 4 young children could only make infant-like noises.
Denver police say a couple's 4 children don't speak, they grunt, and they were living in filth. The 2 parents...
History, we are told, tends to repeat itself.
Were underfed and grunted
The children were non-verbal, and they had not been toilet trained.
Moments in time preceded by other similar moments.
Every kid has their own language. And boys are harder than girls.
Wayne Sperling and his common-law wife Lorinda Bailey have had more than a few moments within the child welfare system.
They can find something no matter what you do. It's not clean enough. It's too clean, you know. It's open-ended. They can charge you for anything.
But it took until this year for this moment.
They're accused of keeping their 4 children in an apartment filled with feces and flies.
And for this story
This time, Denver police have charged
to become a national one.
Court records tell us this is not their first encounter with both the law and protective services.
History. The date, October 8th, 2006. 3 children living in an apartment with trash everywhere. Rotten food in pans, on the floors and in the sink. Insects. The oldest, a 4-year-old, said very few words and would only grunt and point at things.
If you have nothing to model after, you're not going to learn to talk.
Megan and Jeff adopted 2 of those original 3 children in 2009.
We always say claps and
These days, the kids who we will not name are verbal, at or near grade level, and so many miles removed from their past.
So they know that their parents didn't know how to be parents, and so we're so blessed to be able to become their parents.
Which brings us back to this year. Younger children, yes, but the same house.
Court on felony child abuse charges.
The same allegations and the same parents. How do I know that you care for your kids?
Bring the kids here and see.
A felony case against Sperling and Bailey now makes that unlikely anytime soon. It all makes you wonder, why didn't someone see this coming?
But it's also sad to see this same family, these same biological parents, putting children in this position all over again.
Nathan O'Neill believes years ago he was that someone who saw it coming.
We can keep kids with parents only if the parents show some degree of growth and maturity in their ability to be parents. And I think in this case that didn't happen.
For 6 years, O'Neill worked at Denver Human Services. He was the original caseworker on the Sperling-Bailey case. His words were critical in removing the first 3 children, 2 of whom, as we said, now live with Megan and Jeff.
He did everything in his power to do what was best for the kids that he was assigned to.
Yet, during the lengthy termination process, Lorinda Bailey and Wayne Sperling went on to have 2 more children.
My objection was we have 3 older children who are not being cared for properly. What makes us think that they're going to be able to take care of younger children?
Denver Human Services does not like the fact that O'Neill talked with us. Its attorney sent us a letter on Tuesday warning us we faced criminal prosecution for potentially disclosing confidential information. But what O'Neill told us he believes, and we believe, is not confidential. O'Neill simply believes his opinion was ignored.
Oh, absolutely. Had several discussions about that. Voiced my opinion and my objection to returning those children, but I was overruled.
The hindsight of history allows us to know what happened next. Bailey and Sperling were allowed to keep their children.
Police say the children of Lorinda Bailey and Wayne Sperling.
And they went on to have 2 more. It's why there were 4 children inside their house when Denver police came knocking once again, proving that old adage about history and what it tends to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. On all levels. No doubt in my mind.
Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.